Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day. So far, plenty going down on the timeline last night. Some show matches just around the corner. Zuma leaking some interesting Toronto Ultra information, but also Scump and Censor matching up in a $20,000 tournament. Pretty entertaining end result to this one. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do to help this channel reach more people. Please consider subscribing as well if you have not yet already. Firstly then, this from 100 Thieves. The legendary rivalry returns December 1st. We've kind of been asking for a little bit now. Okay, you know, Halo's coming out, it's doing some good things. When is there going to be like a good Vanguard tourney that comes along? This on the very 1st of December, Nadeshot versus ACHES. They're doing a 4 versus 4 Call of Duty Vanguard show match. Now, yeah, if you guys have been around the scene for a while, Nadeshot versus ACHES is a legendary one. This is the classic when, you know, Nadeshot gets hyped after beating ACHES. There's a massive story behind this, and I'm sure they're talking about it right here when ACHES is here on the screen. And this is one of like the early rivalries that really kick-started Call of Duty. Like, I think way back in the day, like 2012, 2013, I think, yeah, UMG Chicago 2012, it was in like the end of December or something in that year, and like basically ACHES pushed Nadeshot or whatever the case was, because ACHES was annoyed that Nadeshot was getting all up in his face after winning this game, and there was some drama around it because like they were using some things that like I think the rule set had changed, or maybe there was a meta shift, and like the FAL for example had been nerfed, but in this particular game they were playing in this particular tournament, they're actually playing with the old rule set, which meant that Big Timer for example could use the FAL to great effect, and anyway, ACHES wasn't particularly happy about it. They get into a bit of rivalry, and that really kicked off things, that kicked off the drama within the Call of Duty scene going into the World Championship that year, and of course Nadeshot and ACHES were, you know, I mean, it was just incredible, the rivalry really between these guys over many a year, and of course ACHES versus Optic for many years after that. So anyway, they're running it back, Nadeshot versus ACHES, all these other 6 guys are involved, Formal, Zuma, Clayster, Crimsix, JCap and Rambo, so I guess they're going to pick like through these teams, and then have the show match happen, so this is pretty exciting. On LAN, I believe, at the compound in LA, so this is when they matched up. I'm pretty sure this is Advanced Warfare when ACHES was on FaZe. I mean, this is another legendary interview with Courage here in the middle. So anyway, some good times in Call of Duty history. Definitely going to be running it back a little bit right here. And as Formal says, now this is going to be a hype show match. So people are getting pretty excited for this one. Understandably so, because I think 100 Thieves are going to do a great job on LAN in LA. It's, you know, Nadeshot versus ACHES doesn't get too much better than this, to be honest. It's a good idea for them, certainly, before the CDL stuff kicks off. And well, as Crimsix says, you still have more to teach me, Master ACHES. You know, they use the auto-fal against us. Do not forget that, right? That's kind of what I was discussing at that event, when they weren't playing on the newest patch, and Big Timer was using that kind of select fire full auto FAL to certainly great effect. Let's talk about this that came out on Zuma's stream then last night. A few people pointed this out to me. Thanks very much for doing that. If we zoom in right here, like, I mean, we zoom on the left hand side, we'll have a look at this screenshot. Now, I believe this might be a discussion between like Asim and Bance or something, but anyway, this is what it says. Ben, are you guys going back home for the holidays? Well, says Ben Bance, I'm home, but as I got on my flight, they all changed their flights, so I don't know what is going on. Problems are getting dropped for Hicksy. So, you know, look, Hicksy, their new substitute, right, from I'm pretty sure he's just got out to Toronto from the UK or whatever, who has been one of the top amateurs in that side for the last couple of years, wasn't picked up to London or anything, so Toronto decided to bring him in as their sub, kind of how they did to Insight last year, and of course that worked out pretty damn well for them. So, you know, this seems kind of tongue-in-cheek, to be honest, in Bance, but it is kind of strange how he says this, and then, like, it kind of gets leaked on the timeline or whatever. So as, you know, problems getting dropped for Hicksy, right, because he's saying, okay, they all changed their flights. It's kind of difficult to say exactly what this is. They all did that besides you and Mark. Yeah, you know, why they're flying back home or whatever. So I'm kind of indicating he might have been screwed over by his team somehow. Now, turns out this isn't the case, but it is kind of a strange thing to say anyway. I'm sure Toronto aren't making any moves, but there was some indication, at least people were discussing on the Reddit, like, you know, could Bance be deliberately saying something that's bait to try and, like, weed out who's leaking stuff within the CoD scene or whatever, but it finds its way onto the timeline anyway. And, well, anyway, this is what Marky B, the coach, comes in and says that, you know, it kind of clarifies the situation. I can confirm we're not making any changes to our starting roster. Our season starts off incredibly in and out of game, so that's of course good to hear for the Toronto guys. It's simply a tongue-in-cheek comment by Ben in which he, you know, never clearly thought it would be publicly shared or scrutinized. To add context, Ben's flight was a day earlier than the others, per his own request, and we intended to have this week off scrims around Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff. Some others requested to remain in Toronto as their personal situations were a little bit different, to likes of myself and Ben, who wanted to spend that time at home back in the UK, I guess, with our families. Scrims resume next week once everyone is back in Europe against the EU-based teams. Hicksy will remain in Toronto until December the 13th due to the date of the final Challengers Cup of the year. So definitely, I guess that clarifies it to some degree. Good to see the Toronto guys getting back home, enjoy some time with their family before I guess they get out to the US to crack things right on, ready to go for hopefully the new year and the new season starting early January. Of course, no announcements as of yet on that one. A tournament that did go down last night though was this one, the $20,000 Boom TV Vanguard Code Red type stuff. I think they've done a few of these right now, but well, anyway, these are the teams as they were forming. Later today, we'll discuss a bit of drama around exactly how these teams were being formed and whether it's fair or not that some of these players should actually be able to play with each other. But this was one of the squads. Tommy, Scump, Shotzi, and Armored, of course, Warzone player. And well, this is the team before that they come up with. It's kind of like 2 pros, 2 CDL pros, 2 Warzone quote-unquote pros type stuff. But of course, Tommy been around the CoD scene for quite a while. This was the team that ended up winning it. It was Rated and Co. There was a load of teams in this, to be honest, but it was Rated, Illy, Cellium, and Tiny. So, Rated getting a good job done right here once again. And Illy and Cellium are, well, not too bad at the end of the day. This was a team that came third, though. Kind of interesting. It was Doug Censor Martin's team. Censor, Zinc, Silly, and Exotic. Now, Doug's team matched up against Scump's team. Tommy's team, it was described in as the brackets here, in one of the rounds. We'll have a look at it in just a second. And the end to one of the particular maps was quite remarkable. Let's just say that for the very least. So this was how it went. So Rated and Illy and Co. won. It was Method's team in second, Doug's team in third. And as you can see, Team Censor versus Team Tommy in the winners bracket round 3. This was Scump's team up against Doug's team. And it was 2-1 in the end. Censor's team won out. But the very first map they played, or the second map, I'm not exactly sure, but it was a hard point, I believe, on Bocage. Some people saying Bocage. Of course, we looked at it yesterday. I looked it up on Google, and Google British pronunciation says Bocage. So, okay, we'll just go with that. I don't really know what's going on anymore. But anyway, this hard point does end, and Scump makes a monstrous play. Doug basically gets turned on, but at the same time, Scump just makes a ridiculous, look at this bunny hop he hits. Honestly, it's so funny that it happens to be Doug. Probably anyone in that situation in Doug's shoes there, if he's the last one alive, he's probably getting guns by movement like this. But it's just so entertaining, it just happened to be Doug in that situation that gets effectively world starred by Scump for the 252.49. I'll share the clips for you guys.
One more on me. Come back door.
Enemy has the hard point.
No way, dude.
I just went
Nice, two. One more.
We're down.
Dead, oh my god.
Hard point located.
Oh my god, Doug! Doug, no! Doug just got smoked.
Is it Doug?
Doug just got smoked.
Dude. Oh my god, Doug just got
Dogged.
So fair play to Doug. He takes it on the chin. He says, Scump, you're a fine wine, right? And I just thought his reaction to that clip was just hilarious, right? When Scump comes around the corner. Doug, he couldn't really have done too much better there, to be honest. The movement from Scump was just filthy. And that's the thing. If Scump's hitting movement like that, and you've got Shotzi on the team, it is definitely pairing up for a nice little situation. But to be fair to Doug Censor Martin, him and the boys come back and win this series anyway. They move on in the tourney. They beat them 2-1. But, just the end of that match was just hilarious. It's just so entertaining how everything seems to go down right now. The stars were aligned to some degree. Let's talk about a couple of other topics as well then. This also from Gfinity came out yesterday. Call of Duty will not do annual releases anymore. This is a rumour. They haven't got this from anywhere, I believe, other than this tweet that came out a few days ago from Ralph, who said they're reportedly in discussion to stop the annual releases. So of course, there was a lot of talk about this, whether this actually could be the case, whether they should do this, whether it's a good idea, because a lot of people saying right now, look at what Halo have done, Zoom was kind of saying they've embarrassed the Call of Duty devs, which I think is true to some degree, but at the same time, the devs are very rushed on this stuff. Halo's been developing this game, of course, for many years, and it's understandable why Call of Duty isn't quite as refined at launch. At the same time, though, it's not exactly hurting their situation. The annual releases have not necessarily played out to their favourite, at least in Vanguard. I'm pretty sure the sales are down pretty massively. A lot of that might be to do with the fact that people, more casual players, will just play, Warzone instead, right? So do you really need an annual release? So for competitive play, this has a lot of implications, because, we're going to be playing, competitive is always going to be based on what, the current game is for whatever they're releasing at the time. Now, whether that comes down to them eventually doing an esports only game, a kind of best of Call of Duty that is played for esports, that's kind of what some people have been asking for a long period of time, or whether they keep a game for a couple of years. Firstly, I hope we don't have Vanguard for 2 years, but I do wonder whether they're thinking, okay, after Vanguard, we bring out Modern Warfare 2022 or whatever next year with Infinity Wars, and we keep that game for a few years, or maybe keep that game for a couple of years, update it over time. I don't really know what their thought process is there, but it definitely has some implications, because of course the game could be better refined. It could then actually finally have ranked play, and it could survive into a couple of years, and then I guess they could change the game pretty drastically after 1 year and bring in new maps, new modes or whatever. I don't want necessarily new modes, but change the weapon balancing and change the maps around, and that could be kind of interesting. At the same time, there always is such a big discussion in the COD scene about the new title that it keeps things ticking over to some degree. Is the team that was the best at last year's game going to be the best at this year's game? You're picking up players that might be good on this particular engine. There's all sorts of discussions about about that. So I don't really know if it's a good or a bad thing if they stop annual releases. I think it has its positives. I also think it has its negatives, to be honest. But apparently it's not going to be a thing anyway, or at least not as of yet. Charlie Intel say, rumors going around, we would caution you not to believe everything you read, and things are always changing. So it seems like this isn't the case, that this is absolutely a slam dunk. Call of Duty are going to stop doing annual releases. It makes them way too much money. But at the same time, it might be something on their minds down the line, which if it is, I think some people would say, yeah, just remaster Black Ops 2, and then the competitive scene will just play that for the next X amount of years. But if like public match players and casual players aren't playing that one because they're playing the new annual release, it's not going to bring any new people into the competitive scene, and probably will just like fizzle out and die after time. So interesting situation for you guys to think about in the comment section below. Just a couple of things as well, because we know that the COD League is trying to expand to some degree. They've brought in that Latin American region this year for challenges. That's cool to see, certainly. But well, these guys COD today intel, right? What must we actually do for some centralized African servers? That's the thing. If the Call of Duty League really wants to expand, we saw last year hashtag LATAM challenges or whatever was a big hashtag going around on Twitter. Maybe this time hashtag COD for Africa, right? Because it'd be really cool to expand that into other regions where they play a lot of Call of Duty. South Africa's been a pretty big player. They've produced a couple of decent teams that have gone to events in the past. So it would be cool to see them get some support. But I mean, we know what the Call of Duty League are like on this one. It might take a time for this stuff to kind of get noticed. And well, just to mention this as well, that Owen points out to me, I thought was kind of interesting. Thanks to those of you who point this type of stuff out to me, because it really helps me keep on top of things. But yeah, retiring at these ones December the 1st, kind of interesting that all these kind of Call of Duty League packs are disappearing on December the 1st. Why would they do this necessarily? Like, they don't have to do this for whatever reason, unless there's something else in the pipeline where they're like December, like I guess the league and the challenges is kind of kicking off now for the new season, so maybe they want to change things up, and I guess some of these teams no longer exist right at the present time, so maybe that's why they want to get rid of them. Or could it be on a more optimistic side that the new team packs are kind of ready to go? But we wouldn't imagine they're going to do that. We don't even have a 12th team as of yet. Do they want to release all 11 teams without the 12th? I don't know. We'll see what happens on that front. But potentially, like, December the 1st might mean that something's coming relatively soon after that, at least on the CDL 2022 side. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells the YouTube gods this is a good video, and looks like you should enjoy it as well, and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care, and I will see you next time.